I don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? It only adds on like an hour. It's an hour and not 4 hours. Dad?
Hey, I think everybody's muted. Yeah, okay. Do you want to unmute? There we go. Okay, good. We'll just give Cesario a minute. Is he there with you guys?
No.
No? Okay, all right. Let's just give him a minute to see. What?
He's trying to get in.
Is Corinne with you guys?
Yeah, we were muted because she's on the phone with her dad. He just called her.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're waiting for Cesario anyway, so we'll just, okay. Stand by. Actually, if you guys have, if you can pull up on your screen in Pinterest or on the web, look for editorial calendars, like SEO editorial calendars. The one that I used to use is kind of outdated, so I was looking for a new one, but I'm wondering what you guys might come up with. And we can kind of take a look at some of the different ones. Oh, here's Sarah. Let me put it in the chat.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, my microphone's working.
Okay, so we're going to look at editorial calendars. Do a little search, and we'll see what looks good. And it can be for SEO and or social media. And
So like this?
Okay, are we finding anything good? All right. Does everybody want to take a look at some of the ones that are up in the chat? This is interesting. I was looking at the co-schedule one before.
Yeah, I think you have to pay. For an organization, it would be good.
Yeah, but it kind of gives you a sense of what some of the editorial calendars look like.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is kind of a good. Is everybody looking at the co-schedule, convince, convert? Let's look at that one first. So basically, this is a plugin, right? So in WordPress, you can add different components, and so this is one component that then you can schedule all these things. And then, Cesario, I think you put in the SEO copywriting one?
Yes.
This is a little more detailed than what we would need, because we don't need to really worry about, oh, it's funny, Nick left a comment, I know. We wouldn't really need to know who it's assigned to, but this this part 3 section, these are all important components. I'll throw them into the chat. And typically, the template that I usually have students use is just an Excel spreadsheet. But it has certain little components to it, and then the URL is good, but you guys wouldn't have that necessarily, but you could have a suggested URL because it would include elements from the title. And then I would also include the meta description. Right, just as we've been doing, title, meta description, call to action. So those are important components. And then the other thing too that maybe they're not, maybe they focused up on earlier, but keywords are really important. So that way, what the editorial calendar is just gives you a quick review that you can just take a peek at and see, okay, well, what have we been writing about? What are we going to write about? In fact, I can probably show you one for a client. Let's check out this one. HubSpot has so many tools and things, it's crazy. Yeah, and so basically, so I'm looking at the HubSpot one, the days of the week, things like that, and it's interesting how they have a specific campaign that's lasting for almost 3 weeks and different components. Your editorial calendar wouldn't need to be quite that detailed, so that's why I'm just kind of looking for something that's a good, trying to update the one that I have for you guys so it's not too crazy. But the goal is so that you have, I can show you a quick one actually. Let me, look real quick. So now we're going to jump into screen share mode here. Oh, the lights went out. Okay. So here we go. That this is the very first social media class that I taught. Students put together an editorial calendar for nutrition, like kids eating healthy nonprofit, and you can see what they did is they had their audience message, platform, meaning, channel, what the content would be, what the call to action is, if there's a theme, specific keywords, links, if there are any partners. So when you're putting together an editorial calendar, kind of what it does is it forces you to come up with different concepts and ideas that would fit those criteria. So your audience and your message, and then does it only work on Twitter? Does it work on Twitter and Facebook? And then these guys had a lot of interesting ideas like contests and quizzes, different games. So yeah, kind of give you a sense. So these are some of the things that we're going to be working on in class to work out the final project. I kind of wanted to give you a sense of what that, and we actually have built into the syllabus when we get back from spring break, who's got their spring break countdown going? So we have, on Tuesday, we're going to be, for the next couple Tuesdays, we're going to be sitting down and fine-tuning the final project so that everybody knows what to expect. Okay.
Yeah, Corinne's here.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So the other thing, yeah, so Corinne being here, you asked about, here, let me do screen share again. Asked about what iterations would look like. Let me just clear this up. Make sure this is the right file. Okay. Okay, so what we're looking at here is, sorry, it might be hard to see. Go in here. Bump this up a little bit. So these are what iterations look like. So the topic was, what the blog post was about nonprofits and why nonprofits should do Pinterest. So you can see this is Brianna, she's messaged WordPress.com, she's used the FSU social media hashtag. My other recommendation would be to hashtag nonprofit and maybe hashtag Pinterest. You don't really want to go too crazy with hashtags, but if you remember, hashtags are a good way for people to locate you in terms of a larger conversation, if that makes sense. And then here's a Facebook share. Check out these great reasons why your nonprofit should add Pinterest to your social media strategy. And then this is one of the infographics that she used. Here, let me bump this up a little bit more. So what this infographic shows is that Pinterest's growth is greater than all these other social media profiles. So you definitely want to be including images. All right, now let me scroll back out. Right, because images perform better. 5 reasons your nonprofit should use Pinterest. Little meme there. So this is pinning her blog post, which we're all familiar with. And now this is on Google+. Here are 5 great reasons to include Pinterest in your nonprofit social media strategy. And again, one of the images in LinkedIn. So these are all just screenshots. Let me just scroll this guy out a little bit more so you can actually see it. And part of the reason with the iteration, right, is to make sure that it's clear that you can't fit everything in, right? And so, you know, she could have clicked on the Twitter chiclet here and tweeted at the same time. Then there, if she was a member of groups, she could have picked a bunch of groups to share to also. Not required, but I just want to mention it because it can be pretty powerful to reach out to other people. And then this is Instagram. So my recommendation here too would be to include more hashtags. Instagram is more hashtag tolerant than Twitter is actually. So again, just to be part of that larger conversation. So that's what iterations look like. And Brianna, how much time would you say it took for you to put all those together, if you can recall? Oh, wait, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Like a solid 5-10 minutes.
Okay, to like pull all those together. Yeah, because it's a matter of taking your headline and messaging it, and then those are just screenshots, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just use the share button at the bottom of my blog post.
Oh, okay, nice. So you published your post, you hit the share button, and then you just customized each one of those, took a screenshot, and we're done with it?
Yep.
Can you also explain the email newsletters? I know you want that also to be part of our posts.
You know, I think that was just in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
But you know what, we can go over that. So, and we did kind of go over that earlier on in terms of what email newsletters are looking like, but let's, let me just pull up some resources here. Oh. Okay, let me jump into another screen share here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll pin this, but these are some, this is off Pinterest, right? So this is just one example of what an email newsletter would look like, and obviously for you guys, what I'm basically looking for is a Word document that includes some of these features. It doesn't have to be.
Presenting to everyone. So we can't
Sorry?
See. My screen is still to everyone, so we can't see your post.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Careful.
Got it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so the idea is to write for an email newsletter, right? And you don't have to create, you don't have to design it because this isn't really a design class, but to include these components, right? And the email newsletter actually can be really short. It doesn't even need to be this long. Typically, a lot of times what you'll do is you'll have an image. I mean, this is just one example. So here, let me pin this and then we can move on to a different one. Okay, come on. Like a lot of them are super, super simple. They might have an image, trying to find like something that's really I might just have one message, basically, so it's not too complicated. Let me do this. Email newsletter design. A lot of times what people will do is they'll take a blog post and then they'll turn that into a design. And this is not doing me any good here. Are you guys seeing this? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure you're following along. Okay, so something like this, like let's just pull this guy up for a second. If it will let me. I'll pin it. Okay, let me make sure you guys are still seeing this. So basically, this is really short, right? This text is not that different from posting something on LinkedIn. It's super, super short. It has an image, it has a headline, and a little bit about what's going on, and then a call to action. So it doesn't have to be anything super complicated. Because ultimately, what you want to do is you want to have people end up on your website because it's driving traffic. So you don't even want the whole blog post on there. Does that make sense? Cesario, what do you think?
Yeah, I understand it a lot better now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm happy to help. Any other questions like that? That, you know, or something that maybe we went over too quickly or we need to revisit? Okay. All right. Let me get out of that. So anyway, I've pinned these into the Pinterest boards that you know, correlate to the week that we were talking about that stuff. All right. Okay, so what we had on tap for today was to talk about tip sheets and kind of what the point is of the tip sheets and making sure that everybody was kind of clear on what they were supposed to be. And I think that there's one in Blackboard that shows you, you know, it's just super brief. Like the whole point is that it's something that you can quickly look at and just boom, 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 boom. And I think we looked at that, the Indiegogo versus Kickstarter post that was on my blog that an intern had done for me that obviously needed to be optimized. So we talked about that, but it just can be super quick and points that are just sort of like, hey, remember this, remember that, because there's 18,000 things to remember, right? So the other, you know, so it's just nice to have like a little reference sheet so that when you're going to write a tweet, you're like, oh, right, hashtag, oh, right, maybe I should mention the person that, you know, mention somebody if I reference them in my blog post. You know, a lot of blog posts, you guys have done well at referencing the people who you've sourced, right? And so if let's take Jay Bear, for example. So if I write a blog post and I mention Jay Bear, then in my tweet, I might want to do @Jay Bear. And then he'll retweet it because he has a lot more followers than I do. And it's also kind of a good, you know, kind of like best practice to like give a high five to the people who you're sourcing. Hey, does somebody want to be the unmuted representative? Somebody who's in Mayhall? Okay. Because it feels weird, like I hear like nothing. All right, that's better. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Riley. Okay. Okay, so any questions or does anyone want to share any kind of tip sheets that they've been compiling so far? Do like a screen share, and we can maybe talk about like, oh, this is good or that's good.
I mean, I mostly just like make notes, I guess, and then I don't know. What's that? Corinne, is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think like the biggest thing, like the biggest takeaway that I found from like because of the different like discussions that we've had is like the biggest like tip for like anyone doing anything on social media is to make sure that if you post something on one social media site that you're promoting that post or posting it on your other social media account, so it's not just like in one place that's like harder to find, especially if you're working for a nonprofit or you're trying to like get the message out about something, especially like an event that you're promoting on Twitter. You also want to do that on Instagram. You want to do that in some form on Facebook or LinkedIn or all of the other like modes of social media, so that you're not doing it in one place because it makes it harder to find. Also, like if there's a link for a registration page, you want to get that out to as many people as possible. And especially like if you have a guest speaker, if you're on Twitter and you promote it on Twitter with @them, you can also maybe find them on Facebook and do it so that it's reaching all of their followers on Twitter and then all of their friends on Facebook or their connections on LinkedIn, etc.
Yes. I'm going to put you up on the screen. Yeah, I think those are all really good points. And those are things that that's really the theory behind the iterations, right? Is like you write one piece of content and then you roll it out on many, many different channels so that you are stretching your buck in essence. Because time is money kind of thing.
I think that puts the emphasis on iterations like a little bit higher too, because you don't want to use the same iteration on your different social media platforms, because if there are like someone who follows you on all of your social media modes and like they're going to find it really repetitive, and that might make it disinteresting to them or even aggravating for them to be like, wow, why am I seeing this everywhere? So like if you're making the iteration different, making it more engaging, it can also like
Yep. Oh, are you still there?
Be like less like.
Oh no.
Is Corinne with you guys?
No, she had to jump in on her phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it muted me or not, but I'm on.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. No, I had to like jump ship from computer to cell phone.
Okay. That
just
happens.
because I've got a very long ride in front of me and I have to go get the vehicle and all that good stuff. So.
Gotcha.
Figured this way I could at least be in class.
Yeah. No. I mean, this is what's great about having an online class is that when I did the TIC project, we had somebody who dialed in from like a coffee shop in Maine because she was on vacation with her family, and I was like, okay, well, you're getting paid for this, so you kind of got to be here. But it worked out, that she was able to kind of make it happen and dial in. But yeah, I think these are all really key points, and you're also making a really valid point that you want to customize. So when we were looking at Brianna's iterations, she didn't pick all the same images, and she also picked like the meme for certain ones, and then the infographic for the more serious ones like LinkedIn, which I thought was good and appropriate. And that's really good advice to make sure that you have enough quality images that you can vary it up also. So that's another recommendation that we should probably be sure to include for our nonprofits. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to do today was to go through some of the other candidates who who wanted to be a part of the class. So let me think about let's get into Drive on here. And I'll just throw it into the chat so we can pull some up. Okay. Final project candidate. Who didn't we talk about yet? We didn't talk about Map as Art, right?
No.
We talked about, okay. So let me throw them into the chat. If everyone wants to take a gander at Map as Art, and I'll just throw in the Q&A into the chat also, so just one less thing we have to all. Is everybody able to follow along? So I'll do a quick screen share just so that we can.
Yeah, I was going to ask if someone could screen share so that I could see it because I can't
Yep,
open
no
the
problem.
link.
Sure. All right. Can you guys see that okay? Okay, awesome. Okay, so who wants to give me a landmark? Throw it in here for whatever reason.
Mount Rushmore.
Okay, good. That's a good one. All right, so maybe this is not. Well, because this is a map, right? So maybe a maybe we should pick a city instead.
I don't know what exactly is this.
So what it is this guy who has a company that they turn maps into clothing and things. So, but this tool is kind of interesting, right? Because it's not really clear what. Okay, select your product. Okay, so here we go. We'll do downtown Newport. That's interesting. Canada has the world's longest coastline. Okay, so now we can take this map and do what with it? Oh, I see. Okay, so now we can turn it into these clothes and stuff. Or a tie, a skirt. Table lamp. Let's see what that looks like. Pretty cool. The technology is cool that you could do that. Let's try another one. Let's do maybe kind of interesting. This would be on the Cape, right? So you could do something like this. Right, and now okay, in the meanwhile, while we're waiting for this to load up, why don't we look at some of his answers? Customer. He's on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Not doing much Facebook. It was interesting because it didn't regenerate. Huh. Okay. All right. So should we look at his social media stuff? Oh, this is interesting. He doesn't even have Pinterest on here. Right? He says he's on Pinterest, right?
I thought so.
Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest.
They have the Pinterest in the blog post. It's like, oh, we're on Pinterest now.
Sorry?
Oh, hang on. Might be. I don't. It might be out loud, but it'll keep my headphones from being the microphone.
His Pinterest page, you can go to her blog. There's one of them. Yeah, our new Pinterest.
Oh, I can't hear you at all. Is that Brianna?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just scrolled past it. It was their blog that said our new Pinterest up and running.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
It's right there.
Okay.
Try this again.
And then you click from that again. There should be a link.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing it. Like, where?
It's I think the link is visual stimulation. To get to the actual Pinterest page.
Okay, here we are. Oh, he only has 14 pins.
Which he's doing like a really interesting thing too with his like guessing that he had on the bottom there. Like, guess where this is.
Yeah, I like that while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Well, no, like on his Pinterest page.
Oh, and his Pinterest page. Oh, right. But not getting any. Do we want to guess?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on, we could just guess.
That one looks like New York because it's a grid, but
Oh, all right. He's got more stuff here, so that's interesting. Okay, so what are we feeling about for these guys as far as project and like level of interest compared to some of the other ones that we've talked about?
it's not a non-profit, is it?
No, it's more of a startup.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just me, but like that first initial page, maybe I just didn't see the real homepage before we went into the map. But I was really confused as to what it was. Like it didn't, like I couldn't see, but then again I'm on a mobile phone and whatever. But I couldn't really see, you know, what company it was, what they were doing. Like, is it somewhere you would buy something, or like I didn't like. I literally was like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
I think you order it.
But then again, I might not have been able to see the whole thing. So
Yeah.
It's just not very visually appealing.
Sorry, Carly, could you say that again?
I don't know. It's just not like well put together. I don't know.
Let's check the About Us, see what he has to say. Anyway, okay. All right. So we're saying no.
Yeah.
Are there any recommendations that we would make?
I I'd say put more content. I'd say Pinterest because of Pinterest because startup. Like, when I it's better directing their uh, outreach this Pinterest and Etsy. They have an Etsy page, but there's only 3 things on it. But Etsy and Pinterest work really well together if they want to boost engagement and then sales.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. Like they have a lot of interesting boards, but there's only 14 pins, so it's really empty.
hmm
So I feel like they could just improve by growing your Pinterest, because I think that's more of a Pinterest kind of thing. Like I would go on Pinterest if I wanted matte apparel. So I don't think I necessarily go on Twitter for that.
hmm
So I think that might just be best for their what they want to do. It's such a niche thing with matte clothes. But apparently it's competitive, but
hmm
I don't know about that.
It's kind of cool.
Mm.
Picture.
They have like cool images, but then on Twitter they're very kind of like real personal, which is I don't know. I didn't think it was.
They're what? They're impersonal or?
They were like very like informal. They're really personal on Twitter,
Yeah.
and then they have those like some of those really nice images. Didn't quite work together.
Yeah. Okay. Where Europeans are most likely to be single versus married. That's pretty funny. That's an interesting tweet. Map related. Like, do you think that tweet is on target?
I don't understand. I just don't.
I think because it's supposed to be funny, but
Well, yeah, obviously they're like trying, but it's not. I don't know. It's not like well targeted to like your audience. I don't know.
Like I did my little SWOT analysis on this one, and what I could get from their target audience was that it was people who liked technology, geography, and math. And I thought they might be better suited to define their target audience so that they can better advertise for it. Because right now that's kind of pretty broad.
Okay. So, their defined target audience. What do we think? What do you think a target audience should be?
My thought was travelers.
Yeah, or like, you know how like places down the Cape will sell you like placemats with the cape on it, like
Yeah. Yeah.
Restaurants. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Coffee shops. So maybe he should take a B2B angle where he approaches restaurants and coffee shops to hang maps of the area like a gallery.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
The gallery exhibition. Okay. Cesario, Corinne, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's his own personal account, so maybe it isn't that targeted, but from his account you can kind of tell he's really into mapping, and I guess you can see what his passions are.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a business, especially a startup, having a business profile is definitely the like people are gonna think it's more like I don't know what the word like legitimate, I guess. Like people are like, you know, like he's promoting stuff like the connection between like this company and him isn't always like clear that he's the one that's like running it and owning it. Mm-hmm. So like having the business page is probably the like better way to go.
Okay. Megan, what are you thinking? As a design person, a visual person, what do you think?
I mean, I think that the website definitely matches what he does and like who he wants to target. So I think that that's a good thing. And kind of on what Brianna was saying about Etsy and Pinterest, I feel like that's where he could start to kind of expand the people that he's like selling to. And then he could use Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and whatnot to kind of reconnect with them and kind of keep them updated.
Hmm. Okay. All right. I'm just putting notes in the chat. Okay. And then what about the homepage? What advice would you guys have about the homepage?
I think it's definitely interesting. Like they're clearly pushing their product immediately as soon as you get on there. But I think maybe I don't know if they technically have a mission statement because they're not like a nonprofit, but like putting out what the heck they're doing would be kind of nice.
I think on one of their websites, or one of their links on their page, there is a mission statement.
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard to find.
So maybe like putting that forward along with like pushing your stuff and make it a little more clear what they want.
Yeah.
On the homepage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you consider that his, let me just pull this up again. The about, right? Is that where he has it? The about us. Right? We like to be, we're fun technology, beautiful design, massive amounts of accurate mapping, data, overlap. What do we think of this? I mean, that is kind of a mission statement, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it could be better?
Well, I mean, you could kind of, I guess, direct it so it's less about them and more about like the people who are getting involved as a whole. So you're reaching out more toward the customer as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so instead of we'd like to be,
yeah.
Any suggested rewording on this? I guess if we were going to pull bullet points, what bullet points would you say? Or what are some key phrases here that we should include?
Beautiful design.
Okay.
Accurate mapping data is good. You know you're getting like the current place and not like a picture of Kansas.
Yeah.
I think personalized is also an important word.
Okay.
Creative and unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
What about, do we need to be thinking more about keywords for SEO purposes and getting found?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe even just map. I don't know if it makes it too formal if we put map as art instead of we, but I don't know, something like getting it more so that Google would pick up that you're talking about your organization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what would be interesting to do is for him to use some tools, do you think, to map out what keywords?
Yeah.
They may have in their notes, which are some of the ones we talked about.
Wait, what was the?
For keywords, where's, if we're going to say, hey, go here and here to find out what your keyword should be, they may have that in their notes.
Yeah. Can't you go to Google Analytics and like search yourself?
Yep, Google Analytics.
Keywordtools.io
Keywordtool.seo.
or .io.
.io. Okay.
I mean, depending on where their websites run, like WordPress offers analytics as well, I believe.
Okay.
Like 8 different notebooks with different notes in them. Google Trends? Oh no,
Yep.
that's...
Yep. Nope, you're right. Google Trends.
Okay.
There's another really prominent Google product out there, and it's pretty well named. So I'm putting these things in the chat here. So this is where a tip sheet would come in handy, right? That'd be like tip sheet SEO. Find the tools. Use these tools to find your keywords. And we won't go into that much detail to actually do some keyword analysis for him, but you kind of get the sense of that if he was to rephrase that mission statement, like you said, to make it more about your customer and less about you, and then include some keywords and put it on the homepage, that would be ideal. So yeah, I think that this is some really good feedback for him to be able to utilize. Anything else before we move on?
Wait, did we... What was the name of the one that wasn't Google Analytics? Did we...
That wasn't the one.
You said it was really, really good to use?
Oh, Google Keyword Finder.
Google Trends.
Google Keyword Finder.
Keyword Finder. So,
Starting another tip sheet apparently. My other one's gone. Okay.
Let me just pull up this guy and draft up. Okay. Any other
Like suggestion-wise, or just...
Sorry, say that again?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I was just cutting and pasting the chat into an email to send to him.
Oh, okay.
All right, so the other thing, too, that... Okay. So right now, what we're thinking about for clients, let's say, is, like we said, no, learn, launch. We didn't really look at Sprout, but we really wanted, everybody's interested in the
Opportunity Works.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Like, what's the name of that? Okay, and then there's another, were there any others that appealed?
Oh shoot, hang on. The ones for children in Rhode Island look really good too. I don't, off the top of my head, remember the exact name.
Was it the
Oh, right, the advocacy for children. Okay. And the other one that looks interesting is oh, we did the learn launch one. the Anchor RI, connecting Rhode Island businesses to Northeast startups through students. Let's just look at this one real quick. And then we'll dig into the project components. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm still on Mapazart. Let me get Anchor RI. Corinne, can you see this at all? It's a nonprofit vision. Interesting.
They don't really have a call to action.
Yeah, that was one of the things when I first looked at it. I wasn't, like, I get they want to bring students in for helping with jobs or whatever, but they don't make it clear what they're doing. Or, like, what field.
Or, like, a clear place to go to do it.
And then one other question that I have is, as far as call to action is concerned, I think before you have a call to action, what are some other things that need to be brought into consideration?
Well, I feel like, I don't even know. I feel like a call to action requires that there's, like, something you're dealing with in the first place, like something you're trying to combat in order to call people to action on it.
Yep, that's a really good point. And so I think part of the issue is that they have a message, right, connecting Rhode Island businesses to Northeast startups, but it's not really clear who their target audience is. What do you guys think?
I mean, as the page goes on, it's clear that they, like, their vision is to, like, talk to students and, like, deal with student entrepreneurs, but they don't make that clear in other aspects.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
What does it say underneath? Like, it has, like, under, like, the goals or, like, Anchor will, ... and then there's, like, I can see the numbers, but not the words underneath.
Oh, yeah. So it says 670K develop and pay Rhode Island college students. And then the next one says 85, create new Rhode Island jobs. And then 39 million, drive new RI business growth.
Okay.
But that's a very good point, right, that you're on mobile and you can't see it.
I also, like, don't know really what that means, like, for people that are reading it. Like, are we supposed to be like, oh, like, let me help out with you reaching your goals, or, like, you know?
Yeah. Yep, I think that's a good point. Text. Oh. Numbers. Okay. So, yeah, I guess for me, I'm not really clear. Are we talking about, are they trying to engage with students? Because they're going to pay college students? Or are they just an advocacy group? Like, how does this all work? It seems to me that looking at this, to identify, recruit, and develop ambassadors.
Yeah, the ambassador thing kind of threw me off. Like ambassadors in what? In relationships between the students and the industry or the businesses, or what are they trying to ambassador?
Mm-hmm.
There's something on the ambassador page, but I'm so confused.
The ambassadors is confusing.
Yeah.
Who are ambassadors? Should you be targeting them? Okay. What do we think about this whole process thing? Lead generation, lead qualification, needs assessment, proposal, sale. Let's say let's say you guys are the target audience, right? Because you're a student.
Mm-hmm.
What does that say to you? Any of these headers here? And sorry, Corinne, I don't know if you can actually even see that. I'll put up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I can't read any of it.
There's no direction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. It's so frustrating because it's like it's just there, like lead generation, but it doesn't.
Do you know what that means?
No.
All right, good. If your target so I'm going to put if your target audience is students.
Like, is this explaining how they would help you without actually doing it successfully? But, like, is that the point? Like, are these the steps, or, like, what?
Right.
Like, is this just their general process of how they conduct their business, or is this how they're going to, like, is this what you should be doing?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's a very good point. Short video. Who has time for short video?
Oh no.
Okay. Ambassadors. We'll just look at ambassadors quick.
Oh,
Like
no.
March 1st, March 2nd, March 2nd.
Wait, is that the same thing?
It's the blog on their
Why?
website. It's the same picture.
Like,
No.
That's part 2, part 3.
This is like when I misnumbered my friggin' sections of my
interesting.
midterm and handed it into Desmond. Figure it out.
Only when we get to the ambassador, the bottom of the ambassador page is, do you want to learn more?
Right.
Buried, call to action.
And that might not be where someone goes when they get on their website.
Right.
And then click it, it takes you to their contact us page.
Ah.
And it's like, are you interested in being an ambassador? Not
More information about it.
And what's up with this map?
Doesn't even like.
At contact page.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the contact us page. There's. Oh, I guess there is at the bottom.
But that's on the bottom.
Right. I feel like their address, like their email and phone number, should be a little bit more prominent for the contact page rather than just at the bottom banner.
Right. Yeah. I think there's supposed to be a pin on there, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's kind of strange. Okay. All right. So, how are we feeling about these guys?
I think they need a lot of help, but
Oh no!
oh no.
Let's look at their Facebook.
Don't you want to?
No.
March. Oh, they're
Oh. No.
Oh god.
It just.
Good. And they share it too.
Wait, did they update their Anchor page? Wait, what?
So they posted their entire blog post in text and then also linked it. So there's no real like incentive for you to click on it because you already read everything.
Mhm. Okay. All right, let's let these guys rest. I think we've given them some good feedback, but I think the project is not about, it isn't a class about branding and messaging. I mean, it's a little bit about messaging, but like you really have to have some of your baseline together, I think, in order for us to be really more effective.
Yeah, no, that's difficult to get the message out when you don't know what the message is.
Very good point. Okay, so let's look at, are you guys seeing Rhode Island Advocacy for Children, or do I need to do something different with my screen?
No, yeah, it's there.
Oh, wait, good, thank you. Okay, so let's bounce this out. Okay, we looked at them a little bit quickly at the end of class. Are there questions that you guys have that? Oh, I'm sorry, Corinne, you probably can't read any of this. See if this helps.
I thought they had a very well constructed site. It was they had all their information out there and like clearly had a good message.
Mhm. Wow, look at this. Can you read this? It's so hard to watch your child struggle in school. It's harder not knowing why.
Yeah.
That's pretty compelling, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so considering, what I just said, that in order for us to really do a good job, I think that we need that the nonprofit has to have certain components, like who they're talking to and what they're trying to say. Do you guys feel like these guys have those elements?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget. I haven't looked at their social media platforms in a while.
Yeah, we can pop those up.
Right. Because I mean, they definitely have all of their stuff. Like.
Oh, now they're doing that crazy thing where like.
Oh no.
There's social sharing buttons. Here we go. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, page not available. That's not good.
No, that's what it was. Because this was like one of the ones I also really wanted to do.
They have 5 tweets and 21 followers. They have not tweeted. July 2015. And their Facebook page is defunct.
Yep.
Well, I mean, one thing is that gives us a lot of runway, for lack of a better term. Cesario, what are you thinking? Oh, are you still there?
I think he's dead.
Let's see. Wait, pull up. I have so many screens going. Here, let's see if he. Put him in the hot seat and see if he notices.
Just like a black.
Oh no, we can't hear you. Make some.
I think his mic muted or no?
All right, so what I want to do is talk about different components of the final project. Oh, okay. He's writing in the chat. Okay. So we're going to talk about what a social media plan should look like. And what we're going to do is we're going to another screen share here. The JBear. Let me pull this up. So this, I think, is kind of interesting. Let's make this screen here. Social media strategy worksheet. Right, client. So we're kind of getting a sense of who we want to work with. Your pitch and 120 characters. We don't really need to look at these as their gospel, but to get a sense of what a plan involves and how we're going to do it. And this is really key, right? Like sometimes what's your pitch, you don't know that until you've worked through all these different questions. So let's just say, let's just do as an example, Map is Art, right? So what's the point of social media? Are we trying to raise awareness? Are we trying to sell things? Are we trying to build loyalty?
I guess sell and build loyalty, depending on how large their audience is now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that, so maybe we could rank them. You know, number 1, maybe sales, 2, loyalty, and then 3, awareness.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what do they have relationships with audiences? Like, do they have people who are out retweeting them and sharing their content? Or like, no one's really looking at it?
Not really.
Right, so we can say nothing, all right? And then how does the audience use social media? So now this is thinking about, okay, it's fine if you want to be on whatever platform you want, but what you really want to do is you want to be on the channel where your followers are or where your potential followers are, right?
Yeah.
So if we have to take a target audience, what do they like to do? And then these are sort of like jargony, right? So I would rather identify channels, you know, and like who the demographics, so this is where the audience and the demographic comes into play. So for Map is Art, we could hypothesize, right, because we're always hypothesizing. We could hypothesize that their primary buyer is female, right? So let's just make that assumption. So women buy Map clothing and home decor, and where are the women online? Which social media channels are they tend to be on?
Didn't we say Pinterest has like the higher female rate?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Pinterest is a very obvious choice, and Etsy too. I think is really good, right? As a sales platform. And even if he only sells specific things on Etsy, like maybe he has a higher, one product would do better on Etsy than another, or there's more of a markup on one product than another, so that he can, you know, pay Etsy their cut. Okay, and then the what's the one thing, I think that's a way of saying, like, what do you have to offer your target audience? Remember when we were talking about what's in it for me? So for Map is Art, what's in it for the women who may be interested in the products? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. What?
Maybe unique products and the map, whatever it's a map of, could hold sentimental value in a creative way. Okay.
Oh, I'm just having a hard time hearing you. Can you say it again?
Unique product and
Yep.
where the map is of could show sentimental value in a creative way.
Right. So sentimental value, I think, is really interesting. So let's come up with a scenario, right? Like, let's say, okay, there's a woman who's going to buy this, right? And what is her life like? Remember we kind of did this with personas?
She either owns some sort of vacation home that she would like to decorate with things that are from that area, or she just travels a lot.
So maybe she got married somewhere like a destination.
Oh, very interesting. I like both those, right? That. Okay, I'm going to add those to the email. Hang on a second. Okay, so let's say, okay, persona. All right, so female, got married at destination, vacation home, and or okay. And what about something like, so Facebook advertising can let you pinpoint like people who've moved recently. And what would be interesting, I think, is like if you move from someplace far away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Map of home. Okay. What other characteristics do you think? When we talk about persona, what else do you think is applicable?
Well, they have disposable income to spend on map clothing.
Yeah, kind of spicy too.
Right, okay.
So
That's a
probably
good point.
at least middle class.
And what about like let's think about a B2B component, right? So, and let's just talk about like the home decor aspect of it. Who handles, like, what type of industry handles home decor stuff?
What kind of industry handles home decor?
Yeah, like what do you call somebody who like handles what to put on your walls?
Like an interior decorator?
Mm-hmm. Right, so that could be a whole angle that he could pursue and put, do Facebook ads specifically toward interior designers, which could be interesting. Okay, and then let's just go back to this sheet here. Let me pull it up. And then success metrics for ROI. Now this is a little bit beyond the scope of what we're going to be able to accomplish because we won't be able to see, okay, the campaign's working, let's make these adjustments and move on. But what are some, if we're going to hypothesize, okay, well, what does success look like for Map is Art?
What does success look like?
So like an increase in selling product, building up their brand.
Selling product, right.
Even like I know a lot of businesses that start off online want to move to like an actual physical location or get into a retail establishment to sell bigger brands.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I feel like that's something that the business owner could definitely like determine. Just go on Shark Tank.
Want Shark Tank?
It's my favorite.
I like it.
Love Shark Tank, guys.
I do too. All right, these are all really great. Okay, so those are some really good ideas that we can suggest. Like, okay, and this is what success looks like. All right. Okay, so I'm putting that under other ideas. All right, so that's one. And then here's a different one that's okay, so this is a little more detailed. Marketo is a marketing company, and so these are some of the things that they recommend. Like, and so obviously we wouldn't necessarily want to include all of these things because these nonprofits can't handle everything. Can you guys still see my screen? Mm-hmm. So blog, X hours, okay, daily, weekly, monthly. And so what we'll be doing is we will be saying, like, here are 3 things that we strongly recommend, and here's the ways to do them. And blogging would be one of them for SEO, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like we just did for Map is Art, we talk about, hey, Etsy would be good, you know, specifically, you know, you may want to test it out with one product. And then Pinterest, making sure that you have boards for each one of your types of products. And invite people, make sure you have a call to action to tell people they can map their own location and see what art would actually look like, because that mapping tool is really cool, you know, that he shows you. Okay, so moving on back to this guy. So these are some of the things that, you know, we're talking about. This is talking about blogs, right? So these are some of the objectives. So my point of including this is for you guys to be able to look at some of the objectives that would fit for these specific channels. And we can talk about this more because when we come back from spring break, we're going to really dive in and work through the problem and ask questions and making sure that, I mean, my big goal is first to make sure that you guys learn as much as you possibly can, and that also that the nonprofit gets a really good quality document that they can use. So there's time built into class to review things, to kind of go back, and I'm all about iteration, right? So as we're discussing things and different ideas may come up, and then you're like, oh, well, we were talking about this for a different client, but I wonder if it would work for this client. And so there's always opportunities to go in and revise and really make sure that everything is honed as well as it can be. Okay, so this is a good way to do a comparative analysis of, like, should my nonprofit, knowing that Map is Art, that the target audience we're hypothesizing is a woman who has high enough disposable income, who's looking at home decor, and who may be wanting to decorate for her second home, or we could do another target audience, which we're going to do a bunch of series of target audiences. A whole distinct target audience, which I think is gold, is wedding gifts for people who got married at destinations. Mm-hmm. Now the hard part is now how do we specifically target those people? But maybe what we could do is we could say, or we could look at it as, you know, as like a, what do you call it, a favor, right? To have something as a favor that the couple could then give to everyone who attended the wedding. And I think like they have coasters or something like that. So something like that could be kind of cool, especially if it's for a higher-end wedding. And now that just increased the sale from one piece of art to hundreds potentially. And now somebody puts that coaster on their coffee table and somebody says, wow, that map is really cool. Like, oh yeah, there's this really cool, you know, when you flip it over and it says Map is Art, that's another way that it can have a follow-on sale. Yeah. But anyway, so let's just say, you know, as we're looking at different target audiences, we want to say, well, what are the options here, and what do we think is going to work best, and then map out how to do it. So different, you know, social media networks, and then we'll say, okay, this is what our strategy is. You know, for Facebook, should we create a group? What should we do? Or participate in other groups. And LinkedIn, same thing. You know, here are some of the key metrics. So this is more like a menu, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to be ordering off the menu and then making recipes for your nonprofit to follow. Uh-oh. Corinne's saying she keeps getting bumped out.
Yeah, she's entered and gone a few times.
Okay. Well, this, I think, is still recording, so we can message that to her. Okay, so, and here we go. Here's more, you know, again, we're not going to get too into all these details, but widgets, bookmarking and tagging, that's another option. Crowdsourcing. Okay, so those are some options. Okay, so here we go. Step 2. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to, like I said, determine which elements are most important and prioritize how we can best help our nonprofits. And we've already been doing a lot of this, so this is step 3, where we are going to, I'm sorry, maybe I should do this so it's easier to read. Evaluate, so I just put that in twice, if that makes sense. We're going to evaluate their website for the messaging. Does it make sense? What do you recommend that they do? What parts do you like? What parts don't you like? And I'm going to put this all into Blackboard and send an announcement out. So we're going to be setting up interviews with nonprofits. So tonight we're going to decide which ones we're going to work with, and then I will give you their contact info. And you can contact them over spring break or right when you come back or whenever. They're all fairly accessible. And there's that list of questions in the Google Drive that you can go through and decide, okay, well, which questions do we really need to ask? You probably won't want to ask all. You do not want to ask all of them. And if we feel like we need to, we may ask the nonprofits to come and join us on a Google Hangout as we move on and have follow-up questions. Does anybody have any questions so far?
No, it seems straightforward.
Okay. All right. We've done this a bunch of times. Corinne, you're back?
Yes, for now.
Okay. Well, you know, this is being recorded, so I'll send out the link to my YouTube channel, too.
Okay.
So you can go back and watch it if you want. But what we're talking about right now is, I don't know if I put this in the chat, this particular document. And this is all referenced in the final project roadmap. Okay. So as far as deliverables, that we are going to, as a group, you're going to create one document that is designed to really guide them through the whole process. So we're going to have a strategy, we're going to break that down into tactics, and then we're going to have our tip sheets say, remember when you're tweeting to include hashtags, like fairly basic stuff. Oh, you're back?
Oh, I guess it works now.
Excellent. Good troubleshooting. And then, you know, we're going to include some of the best practices that we've done with blogs. And so when you're writing these documents, you want to write them. Remember when we looked at Carly's SWOT analysis, that it was all bulleted and like pretty easy to read. And you can look at the Tick Encounter project. that's uploaded in the resources in Blackboard too. Obviously, ours is not going to be quite that detailed because that was a 6-month project, and this is more like a 6-week project. But just to give you a sense, and also I can include some past student projects too, so in the resources. So some of the deliverables that we're going to do is we're going to look at influencers, right? And I have some resources and some of the things that we've talked about, like Wildfire and Twit Analyzer and Follower Wonk. And so when you're going to get, you'll get their Twitter handles, and then you'll see, okay, well, of their Twitter followers, these are the ones who have the most followers. There's also,
I got one less problem.
Jeez.
What's that?
Sorry. Something just auto-played.
Oh, okay. And that's going to be really helpful to them, right? Because they're going to say, like, wow, you know, there's people out there who I should probably be spending more time trying to engage with.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to come up with different audience personas, like we talked about with Map. Map is art. Like we have the wedding people, so whether it's the bride or we have somebody who's moving cross country and, you know, wants a map of their home to display. Like actually that'd be a really good gift for my sister. And then we're going to do the editorial calendar, right? So we're going to have suggested content to say, hey, you might want to do a contest about this or that. So Map is Art, for example, we could recommend to them, it would be really interesting to, when you have the guess what map this is, that somebody could win a map or win product, and that would help increase engagement. And so different, and I'll post that link to the editorial calendar. Let me just grab it right now. And this editorial calendar was worked on by students. So, you know, some of the groups did better than others. And then we're going to write blog posts. So everybody's going to write a persona description, just like we did, you know, similar to the SWOT analysis. And we can always go over this stuff in more detail in class. And there's lots of information on Pinterest about personas also. And then everybody's going to write a blog post that fits that persona or target audience. Does that make sense? So you have potentially, if there's 4 people in your group, you have 4 different personas, and for each persona is a blog post and also iterations like we've been doing. Like Corinne said, you know, once you write a blog post, you want to make sure that your social media, you're getting max miles out of it. Okay, so question?
Yeah, I think, is it an option for all of us to just work together since there's only 5 of us?
Yeah, we could do that and just pick one.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just need to decide who we're going to work with? Okay. Yeah, and so you guys want to put in the chat, everybody put in the chat who they think they want to work with. Or, I mean, like, which nonprofit you want to work with. Sorry, that wasn't very clear.
I don't even remember the name. Hang on. The one I think we all did, like when we were doing the
Art one?
the adult one.
Is that the one that was really
The one that's like all blue and really hard
Yeah,
to center.
I like them.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. OWC something. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay. Opportunity works. Okay, everybody's good with that? Okay. If anybody decides that they would rather do something else, let me know, and we can modify what we're going to do. Modify, obviously, the scope of the project. All right, great. Well, Bill will be pumped. He's been keeping in touch with me. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody about like kind of how we're all gonna tackle this project?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing too is that there's lots of room for creativity. So that you may think, oh, you may have a brainstorm one day. What would be really cool is if they did an event that would focus on whatever. Like maybe they should do some type of well, I don't want to give away ideas, or put ideas in your head. But there's lots of room for creativity to come up with concepts of like, oh, it would be really cool if they could do this type of event and invite these type of people, and that would increase sales and awareness, and also be a good opportunity to reach out to press. So kind of here's what I would do, right? As you're on spring break and you're laying on the beach and you're relaxing with your cocktail, mocktail, what have you, like kind of think about Opportunity Works and like, okay, well, what would be really interesting for them? Because they're also looking for ideas that they would never think of. I mean, one of the issues with being in these nonprofits is that they're really in the trenches. And what's worked well in the past is when students have said, hey, have you ever thought, like, so for the education nonprofit that started out with a student project and then they came on as a client afterward, one of the student groups recommended that they do a book fair of used books so that the kids who are reading the books who've kind of advanced on, the parents can sell those books, but also it brings the community together and it creates opportunity for press and media coverage. And it's just kind of a goodwill thing that doesn't take a ton of overhead. And the nonprofit was like, wow, we love that idea, but I don't know how we're going to pull it off. And so in a lot of ways, you don't necessarily have to worry so much about how they're going to pull it off, but to be thinking of, okay, well, what are some ideas that would make sense or that they maybe haven't thought about? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this up because it's kind of long, because it's very detailed. And then if you have questions, definitely ping me. And otherwise, what we're going to do on Tuesday when we come back from spring break, right, because that's next week, is we're going to is really dive in and like have you guys look at every component and then ask questions, and we can fill in any gaps that there may be. Okay. About tools or, it's not clear, what have you. All right?
All right.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go with Opportunity Works. Everybody has the info. The other thing I would do is to think about what other information you might need from them, and maybe take a peek at the Google Drive doc of the questions and refine those questions and decide what other follow-up questions we might need. That is, if you're not going to be on the beach on spring break, which hopefully you are. Mm-hmm. Is anybody going away anyplace crazy? Fun?
I'm going with the Gatepost to New York City for a journalism conference.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be really good. I did that to journalism conference when I was in high school, and this is back in the day when VCRs were like suitcases, and some kid at our high school, I can't remember who it was, bought a box that felt like it was heavy enough to have or not a VCR, camcorder, and guess what? There was like bricks inside. So don't buy any camcorders.
Wow.
Anybody else?
I start my drive to Florida in like 20 minutes. So.
Awesome. Where in Florida are you going?
St. Pete.
Nice. Oh, right. You said that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Not so much the 29-hour ride, but.
Well, just be safe.
Yeah.
Take turns driving.
Huh?
Take turns driving.
Yes.
Yeah. And don't speed in North Carolina, because if you get caught speeding over a certain limit, they make you fly down there and go to court or hire a lawyer.
Oh.
This just happened to my sister. And so it cost her like thousands of dollars to deal with the speeding ticket that was like $200.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's all like a scam basically, I would say.
Mm.
So yeah, anyway. Tips from the other side. Cool. All right. So is everybody else working or relaxing?
Working.
Working and relaxing.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully work is a little bit relaxing. At least it's not the holidays, right?
At least we don't have school and work, so it's like one at a time.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's one thing that when you graduate and you get like a job, a professional job, a career job, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is heaven. Because when you finally like only have one thing to do at one time and you get paid to do it, that's pretty great. That's the perk of going to Framingham State, you know, that you don't have that like, oh, damn, I have to go to work for 8 hours. You have that like, oh, I have to go to work for 8 hours and that's all I have to do today. And maybe some laundry. Cool. All right. Well, you guys enjoy, and safe travels. Don't work too hard, and looking forward to connecting with you and rocking out these projects.
Cool. Sounds good.
All righty. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.